Good evening. It is I, Roncar. It is my pleasure to be with you in this evening. It is a beautiful day where the medium is, and I believe for most of those people who are here, it is similarly a beautiful day, wonderful weather. And it is nice to have good weather at this time of year, where you can enjoy the sunlight, the warmth. It makes everyone more cheerful, more energetic even, although sometimes in the heat of the sun, it does take away your energy so you can relax. Do you not find it interesting that when it is a sunny day, you actually have more energy than you do on rainy days, or dark days, or cloudy days? Yes, you actually absorb energy from the sun, the same as all the plants. And so the sun's energy actually nourishes your physical body. And so it is a pleasure and a joy for you to have the sunlight like you had it today. I hope each of you was able to enjoy it during this day, at least for part of the day, even a short time. It is good for you to walk and be in the sunshine. It lifts your countenance. It helps get rid of depression. It can make your day a wonderful day because the weather has influenced you in such a way that you are much happier. And sometimes that is subtle. You do not always recognize it, but it is there for you. And so if you are tired, just go out into the sunshine, let it pour upon you, and be rejuvenated. Relax in the sun and enjoy the sun's rays. And so that is my lecture for this evening. Isn't that cheerful? It was short and to the point and very easy to learn and understand. And I would wish to get on with the questions for this evening. Does anyone have a question for me at this time?
Yes, I was wondering, are there really such things as soulmates? And can you explain them to me?
Yes, I can explain about a soulmate. Usually that term refers, see, when you are using words, it is sometimes two people are not having the same definition of the words they are using. So what I am giving you is what most people seem to mean by a soulmate, someone that you have had many lifetimes before and perhaps have had very good relationships. And so it seems like you come together in many incarnations for the purpose of living together and being together and nurturing one another and helping one another. That is your soulmate. Now, sometimes most people assume that when they have found a relationship with their soulmate, that it will be a happy relationship and they will enjoy this time together. But very frequently, soulmates, people you have had incarnations with in the past, these may be difficult incarnations. Perhaps you did not get along in that previous incarnation. What then? It may be a strife-filled relationship because you have to work out old problems from past lives. So people like to think that a soulmate is the person that will make them happy. And that, of course, is a very bad thought because the soulmate cannot make you happy. You must make yourself happy. It is up to you to have the thoughts and think the things, these thoughts that make you happy about everything that is going on and your relationship with someone. If you begin, well, let us say, you have fallen madly in love with someone, and you are convinced that this someone is your soulmate because you have an affinity for one another. Your affection and desire is returned to you from your soulmate. And so it is fulfilling. This relationship is very fulfilling. However, in time, as with many relationships, you begin to see holes or areas which are annoying to yourself. Now you have a choice. You can either continue to focus upon those things that are irritating and annoying, which you never noticed before, but living together now and being together as much as you are, you begin to notice these actions and habits, and some of them are bound to annoy you. It is your choice to focus upon those habits or to allow this as only being part of your soulmate and not a bad part and something you don't focus on. You just take care of your thoughts when this person behaves or acts in a particular way that you find disturbing. And you allow this to happen without creating annoyance within yourself. You just assume this is part of the way he or she is. And your soulmate then will continue to be someone special for you. If you focus upon the things that you do not like and you allow them to dominate your relationship, it soon will tear that relationship apart. And it is even possible that in the previous incarnation, these types of relationships also got torn apart because a person, someone, focused upon that which irritated them and made them made an annoyance in their life. And so it soon destroyed this perfect relationship that they believed they had with one another, especially if both people begin to focus on irritating habits, things that are said, the ways of speaking and the ways of being, the externals of the body, and the habits and the movements of that other person that you deemed was your soulmate. So soulmates can be a wonderful relationship for yourself. And while people believe this means that they were destined to be together and they would be happy ever after, it is up to them to maintain that attitude and keep that person as special as they have always been. It is better you do not look for a soulmate, that you just make the best relationship you can with the people who are in your life. And if they continue to irritate you, well, it may be that they were your soulmate and they have had many incarnations with you. And in each of these incarnations, there developed attitudes and habits which broke the couple apart or made it more difficult, or they triumphed over it and had a wonderful relationship in spite of whatever differences they may have had. So, yes, there is a soulmate. Is there a soulmate for everyone? No. It's not someone that everyone can have a soulmate. They need to create a soulmate, if you will. You can create it by deciding this person is your soulmate and by overlooking anything that might be irritating to yourself and continue to think of them affectionately, lovingly, and to create a wonderful relationship. A soulmate is not something that is easy necessarily, although people believe that. A soulmate can be a difficult relationship. It is entirely up to you. And frequently, as I have indicated, a soulmate is not an easy relationship, but people believe it will be. That is what makes a soulmate. You may look at that however you wish. Do you have another question?
Yes. Are they connected? Are soulmates and you connected to a soul contract, or are they two separate things?
Yes, I understand that question. Many people, they can have a soul contract to be in one another's life. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Because even though they've had a soul contract to find one another and to nurture one another, circumstances in an incarnation often take you on a very zigzagged path, and you may easily miss or not find out or not run into that person that you decided you were going to be with in the next incarnation. There are such contracts. Generally, they are to be of help to one another, not to make one another happy, because you are responsible for your own happiness. Each individual is. So does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. In between incarnations, we do maintain some relationships with one another, sometimes from previous relationship or a previous incarnation, and you can grow up and be within a family group, so to speak, where you are always welcomed upon the transition, but you may find that when you get into the physical plane, you just do not find one another. It is not guaranteed. Are there other questions?
Yes, you said you were talking about the sun, and I just thought, what can people do that get sun cancer or get cancer from the sun that have to stay out of the sun?
Well, then they stay out of the sun, or use the special sun blocks which block out the harmful rays of the sun. And even though a small amount will get through, and all the rays, all the energies within the sun, because it covers a great span of characteristics, I have to put it. You have different wavelengths of light and energy that is coming out of the sun, and it all kind of mixes together. And so it is good to be in the sun. People who have developed skin cancer must be more careful. remembering that it is not the sun's fault that you develop skin cancer. It can be your own due to attitudes. People who come up with skin problems are often one moment, I'm having trouble expressing this. It'll be a minute. Vulnerability. Many times they are vulnerable to the energies, not just of the sun, but when I say vulnerable, they are vulnerable to the words of other people. They are often injured or hurt by the words of other people. They are thin-skinned, so to speak. That is the expression. And these people then would be more prone to cancer of the skin because they are too easily injured by the words and actions of others. They are oversensitive people and easily hurt people. And they have a tendency to get skin cancer. Now, it is important to remember that the person themselves is not to blame for their illness. In other words, because a person is overly sensitive and vulnerable to the words and actions of others and feel things as hurt, if they develop a skin cancer or any other type of cancer, that this is not their fault. You must not think that. It is simply that the energy, the connection between the emotional difficulties and the vulnerability that comes through a skin that is not dark enough or tough enough to withstand the sun's rays and develops cancer. It is, yes, it is somewhat of it is more like, well, you have just gone through the COVID and you tried to obey everything they said, but they were not exactly right in what you should do. And you accidentally came in close contact with someone who had the disease, and maybe they didn't even know it yet, and you became exposed to COVID. And some people would get over it easily, but other people would get more sick. And why is that? It is because those people who got more sick, well, either their bodies were more frail or they were more sensitive and more vulnerable, so that sometimes within the physical bodies, there is a weakness that goes undetected because a person is not exposed to something that will set it off. And so they will not know that they have sensitive lungs or they have headaches a lot. And so they have a sensitive mind, and they do not realize that these things will and can rather manifest disease within the body. So you are not to blame people for their own illnesses. It is something that just happens many times.
But as far as what you said about somebody being oversensitive and being hurt by feelings, isn't that supposed to be something that we have control of?
Of course you
We
do.
can change. So then, in a sense, isn't it their fault for allowing themselves to be that way?
Oh, well, it's not so easy to change yourself. If we could all change ourselves easily, it would be a very nice planet to live in. It'd be great incarnation because everyone would be happy and everyone would cooperate with other people. We would not be jealous of what we think other people have. So people like the Chinese and the United States would get along, even though they're different types of people. The Chinese people would not persecute those that they are currently persecuting and torturing and killing. And in the United States, there would be harmony because everyone would be working together to solve the problems. They would not be ignoring the problems that they have. They would find the best solutions possible, such as much as you would wish to help your migrants, you are being so flooded with migrants at this time that it is almost impossible to help them properly. You can only feed them and give them places to sleep, but it is hard to integrate them into your society, and this is what they need. They need help with education, to learn things, to learn English, because that is the most common knowledge, and to learn skills which they can work with. You also need to make them able to work. Your laws must allow this. And this is not going on. They are just blaming one another and saying, come on to our country, and everyone thinks life will be better, but it is better, but is it better? Is it more satisfying? Is it happier? Maybe they would think it is because the conditions are somewhat better. But in truth, they are no happier being here than there where they were, because it is difficult for them here. They are strangers in a strange land with strange customs, and they are not being helped to settle in and to understand, because we are being overwhelmed. You are being overwhelmed by those people coming in without permission and without your ability to take care of them properly. And when I say take care of them, yes, it's nice you give them a place to sleep and food, but that is not life. They do need to have work to do in order to feel the dignity and the freedom that there is truly available within the country. And as they have come with practically nothing, including not many skills, many don't even speak English, this is a problem. And it should not be allowed. It should be more organized so that you can properly take care of these people, give them jobs, and
Education.
and let them feel the dignity of work.
I guess it's a one step at a time process though, because I presume they're leaving where they were because if they stay there, they'll starve to death or die from something. Otherwise they wouldn't bother coming here. So if they're here and they're at least getting a shelter and food, that's one step at a time. And I presume the education, the job would come next, hopefully.
Yes, but do you hear of the education? How many schools have been created for the migrants? Do you hear this? You just hear that they are being put in, this is this hotel. They are being put in this school, not to learn, but because they are sleeping in what once upon was a classroom, and now it is a dormitory.
Well, like you said, we got overwhelmed with them. There were too many at once. We don't know what to do with them.
That is correct. And so if you truly wanted to help the poor of the world, it would not be to advertise that just come on in here, we'll help you. That does not really help people.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Are there other questions?
Oh, I wanted to ask you, when you come into the medium's body, are you able to feel the physical senses like taste and smell and all that? Are you able to feel that through her body, or?
Well, I can obviously, I am using her body for communication. And so being able to see and hear is the most important thing. But I am not with her when she is eating, so I do not know about the sense of taste. And I am not here for the purpose of smelling things. So that's part of taste, so I don't do that. And so I'm not sure how to answer your question. Why
Can
am
you see physical things like she can see them?
Yes,
Oh, okay, cool.
I
Then
can see
maybe if you were out in the
figures.
sun, you could feel the heat of the sun.
Yes, if I were doing it out in the sun, I could feel the heat of the sun.
Ah,
I am mostly aware that the sun gives off heat, so I
Right.
know.
awesome.
I am here in the evening.
This is true. Okay. I was just curious about that.
Yes, I am aware of these things. Plus, I have had many incarnations, and I am familiar with the seasons, both the cold and the heat.
Mhm.
Are there other questions?
Okay, I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, you might as well. You
I
might
was
as well
curious.
ask all your questions.
I might as well. I was curious about, we mentioned separation last time you were here, and I was just wondering, why do we have to experience this feeling of separation?
Oh, individuals. Yes.
Not only individuals, but the separation from who we really are. Right?
Well, you can come into the awareness of yourself as God quite easily. And you, through meditation and through contemplation, that is very helpful. Those two things will help you to get to know your God self that you have. That's a part of you. And you are not separate from that. So it is not that we are trying, or God has designed this in such a way that you should feel separate from your spiritual self. You are, it is simply that they are have a different vibration about them, and you are in just about two planes at once: the physical plane and the spiritual plane, which we will label it that. Your soul self, your God self, can be more aware of the spiritual plane if you desire it. And that is important. Now, I think some of the separation that I was talking about was perhaps the ego, which its main job is to delineate and keep you who you are. that may be difficult to explain, but it does it by emphasizing the differences between you and me. And me, when I am speaking about me, I am pretending that I am the medium. So the ego keeps me as me. The things that I know and the things I believe. And it is essential to my well-being because we are separate on the physical plane. The people that we are separate. We are not together. We cannot be together. On the spiritual plane, it is possible to, well, you are not very separate from one another. You are all aware of one another because you are all within God and are well aware of everything that is part of God. And sometimes it's very hard to explain these things. It's a simple question, and I welcome the question, but it is hard to describe. Being in spirit, you are separate, but you are together at the same time. In other words, you can be together. If you wish to converse, the idea or of a conversation or what you wish to convey to someone is instantaneous, and of course it is not done through words. We do not have words on the spirit plane. So there is no need, we are not separate from one another because we are aware that we are one within God. And we are ourselves. That is very hard to explain, but we are ourselves, and we are also one. Now, on the physical plane, just the way it works is that you are individuals, and your ego is there to make sure it maintains your sense of self, who you are, what you believe, what you know to be true. And this then is why you are separate and you have an ego. That ego job is to maintain your sense of self and who you are. It would not be helpful if you tended to merge yourself with whatever energy was there, such as the dog that lives next door. They would be close and you might be outside for some reason and the dog comes out and you're suddenly in the dog. Is that helpful? No. But the dog is a person with a soul, is a creature with a soul and a way of being, just as you are a person with a soul and a way of being. But you are not meant to be together as one. You maintain your separateness, and obviously on the physical plane, the bodies must be separate.
Now, you said the ego does this. When we separate from the body, does that sense that the ego created, is that go with you too?
Yes, for a period of time. And you see, when you are talking about that, since there is no time in the spirit world,
Right.
it's the wrong thing to say exactly, but it is the only thing I can say when I am speaking that would come close to describing it. But initially, upon transition, you are you keep your awareness of who you were, and it stays with you very much so for a time. I mean, you need to, there is the life review to keep you where you can review everything you have done, and then you have the judgment that they tell you. You make the judgment on yourself, whether it was a good incarnation or not good incarnation, and whether you did good or not good. It will be your judgment, not God's, not anyone else's, but it is your judgment after your life review. And then you move into the state of beingness more fully at that point in time. And you can, within yourself, you can choose to study by consulting the Akashic records or information that is available. And you can choose to grow and try to build your knowledge and your ways of being in such so that when you incarnate again, that you will remember what you needed to know, what you needed to learn from your last life. And of course, being born pretty much eliminates all those things that you need to remember. They are within you. You can access them when you choose to, but most do not believe that they can do that. They believe that they cannot do this, that it is too hard. Special people are the only ones who can access who they were and the knowledge that they have.
So why would we deny that? If we can access it, wouldn't that help us more in this life?
Absolutely.
Oh, then how do we
There's
access
no
it?
need to deny it. Many people just do not believe it, that they have everything they need within themselves and all the answers to all their questions. That's why I am here, so
Wow.
I can answer questions. But if you know the answer within yourself, you don't have to ask. But these questions are such that they need.
I guess, like you said, if I've already been where you are, then technically I should have the knowledge of what I'm asking you.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so if you allow yourself to focus upon it and go into meditation, you will often come out with the understanding that you were seeking.
Wow, cool.
Yes.
I'll work on
Meditation is excellent.
Yeah.
You're connecting with your God self, and your God self has all that knowledge and understanding.
Mhm.
And if it's necessary for you to know the answer to this question, you will find out. The question you have asked isn't necessary for you, except to perhaps encourage you to continue to seek the answers that you need within, because the answers are within yourself.
Oh,
And you then have all the methods that you need to make yourself happy.
Wow. Okay.
I think
I was
you do a
thinking-
pretty good job of making yourself happy.
I'm working on it. I was thinking about what you were saying about the existence of spirit or in spirit. And I was thinking, okay, well, we don't have bodies anymore, so we're just minds and thinking. So I'm guessing this is what you're trying to tell me. We keep our minds as ourselves and thinking, but yet we can just have an open mind and connect with everybody else because everybody else is doing the same thing.
Yes.
Quite close. Okay.
Yes, I think you have described it nicely.
Okay.
You can, yes, that is the best. You can choose to be open and be with people, and you will be. Just as you have family and friends now, you will have family and friends in spirit, and you will join them, and there is interaction. It's the only way I can describe it. It is not easy to describe.
But if you kind of have a thought or a question, it's just like there, and somebody else can answer it, and you receive it, even though it's not in words.
Yes.
Okay.
Someone else is often, yes, someone can answer it, but very often you can find the answer yourself.
Nice.
Mhm.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yes, it is. Very good system, and it is a way of helping yourself to grow.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
Okay,
How
Roncar,
does
a few nights ago, I was at, I guess, an event at ISD, and people spoke about the violet flame. Could you just tell me where I could find information about it, or what it is?
The violet flame. Yes,
Yes.
yes, that is an energy. You can find, you want to know where to find information, did you say? About the violet
Yes,
flame?
because everyone seemed to know what they were talking about but me. So I just thought I would like to know for the next.
I believe if you can find the I Am Discourses is the name of the book, one of the books. There are several which often talk of this. And one moment.
What was the question in the books?
Violet Flame.
What about it?
That's who has written them.
Fellow by the name of Goddard, Goddard. But what you want to do is you want to go to the stgermainpress.com. And they will have all the books listed there.
The Saint Germain. That
Saint
is what
Germain-
I would need.
Yeah, Saint Germain Press. I would highly recommend book 3, Saint Germain Discourses, the I Am Discourses to start with.
And they do bring up the violet flame. Is there an explanation in there?
Well, actually, at the website itself, they talk about the violet flame, and there's an illustration of that as well.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So it is by Saint Germain, the I Am Discourses,
Yeah, Saint Germain Press.
and the Saint Germain Press. And usually people, when they are referring to this energy, find it's kind of a substitute for God in a way, the energy of God. You can always, if you need, if something, you have a bad habit or a bad thought, you can place it within the violet flame for it to be eradicated. So that might be helpful for you. Are there other questions? There was someone else was speaking.
I was wondering how we decide to reincarnate and to reincarnate with the spirits that we do.
Yes. You decide. Well, you look at your, initially, as I have said, you retain your personality as it has been in your last life. And you have your life review. And so you see the consequences of your words and actions. You can make that judgment yourself as to whether or not you wish to come back to do something, what you need to learn, and you can work on these things. And then you can, in concert, sometimes with the guidance and the help of other teachers who are in spirit, that they will help you to find an incarnation that is suitable for the purposes that you desire. In other words, you would like to work on whatever. You would like to work on having children. Maybe you had too many or you didn't have any in a lifetime, and you definitely want to know what it is like to raise a family and be responsible for children and to educate them and all the difficulties that flow with children. So you would want to be in a lifetime where you could be either a mother or a father, or you could be a parent to one or more children. You might find that you wanted to be more in service to others, so you decide that you would like to come into an incarnation where you would most likely become a doctor. That would be the path that you are hoping to take in that incarnation. You see, when you come into an incarnation, as I have said, many things can make it difficult for you to follow the pathway that you would like to follow, including finding a significant other and a soulmate. And so you could decide that you want to have certain experiences in life. And so you might set up, well, you would just choose the area in which you are likely to have these experiences, whether it would be in the United States or in Brazil or in Africa or in Europe. It does not matter, but what location. Sometimes the location will be important to you, that there is an experience there that you want to go through because you've already been in that location. So you get guidance and help from, I would say, master spirits, more senior spirits who've gone through this more, and they help you to find a possibility of an incarnation. And when the body, the fetus, becomes available, you would join with that. But you would look to be born at a time and in a place and to parents which would serve your need to learn your lessons. And so that is the best way that I can explain it. To go through your lessons. See, with a set of parents, you would get certain DNA, you would get certain talents, certain abilities. You would also get certain guidance and help, or not necessarily guidance and help of the type that is helpful, but may force you to be extend yourself, such as you were born into a very poor family and you wanted to experience becoming successful. So you would have to be born into a poor family. Or you could be born into a rich family, choosing someone which is prosperous, because you didn't want prosperity to be an issue in your life, but you also wanted to serve. So there would be a chance to be a doctor or a nurse or a professor. And because your family valued education and had the money to pay for that, that would be what you are looking at as you make a decision. So you can imagine, with all the babies that are born in any one year or at any time, that the options are tremendous. And so finding yourself the right place is sometimes a difficult assignment, to come to the right person and experience the same things. So that you want to experience, be given the opportunities you want to be given, or you will be forced to come in contact with and to know. I mean, all those who volunteered to be born as into Jewish families prior to the time of Hitler's rising in Germany. These people already had to be incarnated. And most of them came forward for the purpose of experiencing whatever they would experience under Hitler's regime, a difficult life, how to continue to be who they were, to be Jewish in spite of the fact that it was dangerous, to be a loving Jew. These were challenges, and to go through the time and to die, however they transitioned, was all part of their desire to come into those circumstances, to see if they could make a difference, and to, through their death, cause others to learn something. And it is up to us to choose to learn from the death of so many people. That it is not the way to treat people with dignity. People who have different beliefs are not bad. They had many misconceptions and generalizations about people, which caused difficulties in society. And it made it easy to blame someone else. But I will tell you that you still have not learned that lesson, that you may not blame someone else. And I am not speaking of you specifically. I am saying you as a generation of people. You are falling into the same trap sometimes over and over again in stereotyping people because that they are good or bad because of their skin type or color or religion is not the way to go. And yet it happens again and again in different locations. So that is how it works for a new life and a new time and a new body. I don't know if that was helpful for you.
Yes, thank you, Norma. Thank you, Roncar.
You're welcome.
Roncar, I have a question. As a kid, when I was born, I remember distinctly sequences that later were tied together through regressive hypnosis. All these links were tied together. And I got a clear message. I can remember when I was probably 3, sitting up on a bed saying, "You'll never take me," like talking to the, called it the devil or whatever. "You're never going to use me." I mean, how did I know that? So in my flashbacks, when I really relaxed, I made a deal to come back and I didn't want to come. And it was very strange because I was told I was needed. And I said, it was sort of like, it's A Wonderful Life. It was like that. It's just so strange. So during the course of my lifetime that I didn't know what was happening, once I started doing all the work, all the points tied together, everything made sense. I think it's very funny though, because you can't talk to many people about that because the Presbyterians in my life probably wouldn't understand. So I clearly made a deal. Then they said, you need it. And everybody else went back. We need you to go back one more time. So that was very young. So commonly now I see that that's the case. And I've been told I'm a pre-star child. Now, I think that's totally true. So when I go back this time and I feel a very close connection with the source, I still don't know exactly the purpose, but I know that I did not want to come back. And I know that I was asked to come back. And they said, if you just go one more time. Have you ever heard that before?
Well, when you are on the physical plane, I have heard many people experience the fact that they do not want to come back. And that is their perception in this lifetime, or in the lifetime for them. And maybe they did not want to come back and they were counseled to come back in order to serve. As you have said, you were counseled to serve. You did not put it that way, but that is what I interpreted from your words. That was the reason for you to come back, that your job was to serve. And you have served. You have helped many people, not only through your job and your position, but through your speaking. You frequently counsel people and help them.
Well,
And
that's
that
the
is good.
payback. Yeah, I said that I would pay back. That's why I returned to ISD, because once I went to a different plane and not on the hard ground plane, but once I learned to go a little higher and still function in the other world, law of attraction and all that I would have never believed in, everything started to change. So it had to be something much bigger. So that's why I went back to ISD, and the rest of my life is giving back. That's exactly what I'm doing, but I'm doing it through ISD because it's a better place to do it.
That's
That's
good.
the deal. That's the deal I made. No more.
Well, you will not know whether you will change the deal until you transition and have been in spirit, probably for, some time. While time passes on the earth plane and doesn't pass in spirit, so that you may or may not honor your own decision that you were telling me here. We do not know. I cannot tell you. And you are doing what you feel is necessary, which is commendable to be doing, to be giving back.
That's right. Well, I've been given a lot of gifts, but it's funny because I was doing a reading for Anne Marie's significant other. I can't remember. Mark. And I heard me say star child. I've never used that term before. And there was a purpose because of his son being around him. I didn't know. I never used that term before, ever. It was not familiar to me. And that's when I reflected back and said, because I know that I play on both planes. I have to be on the human plane, but I function on a much higher plane, and that makes it easier. So that's why it all connected. And that's why I go back to ISD, to give all the gifts that institute has brought out in me back within that institute where it's purposeful.
Well, that is good to be so helpful to the institute. I'm glad that you have decided to give back. And it is an excellent time. As your body ages in the physical plane, wisdom and understanding become part of yourself more so than when you were young. You have seen much of life, learned many lessons. And so wisdom is the result. And in your wise years, that is when you can counsel and help others. And that is good for you, and both to feel fulfilled and happy in your life, to feel it is complete. And so that is a good thing. a good way to look at it. Yes, you're giving back because you are now wise. And you call it living on two planes. And that means to me that in most situations, when you need to find something that is correct and most accurate and best way to behave, you move to your higher plane. I think that is what you were saying. In other words, you move to the knowledge that you know from deep within, the wisdom that you have, and you take action based on your wisdom and your knowledge. And that is what is putting you on the higher plane. That is very nice. Are there other questions for me? Well then, it is getting a little bit late, and as I seem to have run out of questions, I'll wait just a moment longer in case anyone has something. Continues to be quiet, so I give you all my blessings. Good night.
Good night.
Hi, I'm back. Okay, is there anything else that we need to do or go? You have a question for me? No? Okay, then just remember I love you all and good night.